Hello and welcome to the High Altitude Investing live stream. Today is 10/19/2018. It is a Friday and we are going to be talking about what will happen if the scenario of Bitcoin failing of support, what would happen to the altcoin markets and the crypto markets as a whole. Now, obviously, we've talked about how my bias is still that 6,000 will hold. But I just want to talk about this scenario more in depth because it's a question that I've been getting a lot lately. So we'll be going into that today. If you guys are excited, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button for me. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. We do Bitcoin and altcoin technical analysis. And we also teach you how to look at these markets so that you can trade them and invest in them on your own with your own perspective. Because my goal is to teach you guys how to fish so that I don't have to sit and fish for you all the time, but I will give some fish away for free. What's up, Scott? It's good to see you tuning in today. Long-time viewer right there, so shout out to Scott, one of the mastermind members. So super good trader. He took like a pretty small amount and was able to he was able to do pretty well in the 17 run. I remember him telling me about it, so shout out to him. I love to see everybody that follows me making money. Now, let me just go ahead and pull up the Bitcoin chart for you guys because the technical analysis is very vital to this channel and everything that we do here. So we'll pull up the BTC and we'll probably use the Bitfinex chart. I might have some drawings on it, so maybe I'll use Bitstamp actually, just to avoid the drawings on the Bitfinex one. I think that I have some of the important levels drawn out that I don't want to give away. What's up, Sam? Good to see you tuning in. Black Savage from Discord, good to see you. If stocks will crash, it will take crypto very deep. I will actually talk about this in more detail later if you'd like me to. There's lots of perspectives on this. Cryptocurrency is such a new asset. I don't think that we can just define it that quickly as a risk on or risk off asset. The reason that people think that cryptocurrencies would fall if the stock market has a trend line failure or support failure, that is because there's a portion of people that are in the belief system that cryptocurrency is a risk on asset. And then there's a portion of people that believe that it's an asset that you take risk off, like gold or something that is more of an economic collapse kind of thing. Like we look at that and say, okay, the economy's crashing, I'm going to put it here because it's safe. So that's the difference between risk on, risk off. There's lots of opinions on the matter. What we really have to see, price action tells us the most with a scenario like this. So if the stock market starts making lower lows and develops a downtrend, and then Bitcoin markets start developing an uptrend, we see a higher low pattern, and the correlation gets stronger, then we would look at Bitcoin as more of a risk-off asset and something that people would go to towards times of economic failure. And I've talked about this, by the way, a couple episodes back. I believe I said, is Bitcoin a risk asset with the Craving Crypto episode. So go check that out if you haven't watched it yet. But I go into detail about there's correlations between the stock market. There's points where Bitcoin does seem to be something that when the stock market is correcting, people were putting their money in Bitcoin. So there is some correlations in the past from the little bit of data that we do have. So it's more of a thing where we have to see what happens now. We can't say for sure based on what's happened in the past, but if we start to see the stock market drop or develop a downtrend, and then the crypto markets start to develop an uptrend, that's going to show strength, and we'll look at it more as a risk-off asset. But it is somewhat debatable. I know hedge funds that look at Bitcoin as a risk-on asset, and I know hedge funds that look at Bitcoin as a risk-off asset. So it's very opinionated. It is a perspective thing 100%. For me personally, I look at, from an economic perspective, I like to look at demand very first. That's the very first thing. What's up, Ershad? Good to see you tuning in today. Ershad? I've always wondered how I pronounce that. Is that Ershad? You can try to type there for me. But yeah, good to see you tuning in, man. And so yeah, it's really an opinion thing. There's lots of different perspectives on it. So the most accurate thing that we can use is to watch the price develop. Right now, the stock market's on a very important trend line. I'll pull this up for you guys so you guys can see. I'll pull up the Bitcoin chart and I'll pull up the S&P 500. But that it really is a great question. So I'm glad that you brought this up, because there's a lot of people kind of wondering, like, well, what it really is the way that this, hold on, let me just go ahead and delete all this. This is just a drawing that I did. Don't mind too much about that. Okay. What it really is people are so generally burnt from getting screwed in either the internet bubble or just investing on the stock market at the wrong time or buying the top of gold, or just a lot of people just have a bad taste in their mouth from investing due to the fact that the general media and the areas and the outlets that most people hear about investing are designed to manipulate and control and make the general populace lose. So places like CNBC, like if you counter trade CNBC, you have an 85% accuracy doing that. And that just goes to show the fact that, like, you can't be the general crowd, you can't follow, you have to be one step ahead, you have to be ahead of the curve and kind of really know what's going on for yourself and understand these technicals, which is why I teach all this stuff and I'm so passionate about it. But hold on, let me just pull up this right here. So the S&P 500 has a trend line right now that we really want to watch, and this trend line is on the NASDAQ as well, you guys, so you can draw this on either one. But you can connect these lows together. Now, if this support fails, that's going to look pretty bad on the short term for the S&P 500. I would see that as the beginnings of a short-term downtrend. We could test this lower support level right here. In a really hectic crash, you could go down to this support level right here. I would put that as less likely, but you know, anything's possible here. So either way, if we have that support failure right here, and then Bitcoin does this and makes a higher low like this and goes like that, the same time that a higher high and a higher low, at the same time that the S&P 500 is going like this, then we're going to see Bitcoin as a risk-off asset. More money would flood into this quicker. It would even add to the volume and kind of the hype. So that's my opinion on that. You just have to watch and let the trend develop. Nobody knows for sure, but check out my Craving Crypto episode that I did on a few back. We've got 51 people tuning in so far. It's good to see you guys. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your evening on this fine Friday to learn and do some technical analysis with me. Do not be afraid to ask any questions. We're completely open here. There's people from all different levels and understandings, and my goal is to help everybody grow in one way or another. So feel free to ask questions. What's up, Scott? What's up, Jack? Good to see you guys. So yeah, anyways, this is, generally speaking, a very important time for both the stock market and crypto. I've been talking about this in multiple of my streams in the past. And let me just get my microphone put in right here. So as an analyst, it's all about not being biased to any situation and not saying this is guaranteed or this is the outcome that we know is going to happen. It's about saying, okay, here's the technical level that I'm watching, and here's what I'm going to do if this fails or if this breaks out. So for Bitcoin, the technical level that everybody's been watching since February of this year is the $6,000 level. Between the 5,900, it's a bit of a range. Support and resistance is always a range. So that is a very, very big area of support for Bitcoin and a level that we all really need to be watching as a point to define our analysis around. If this fails, there's going to be some drastic changes in the sentiment of the market and the prices pretty quickly. And that's the support level that we're watching here. Now for the S&P 500 and for the stock market in general, again, it's going to be this trend line. You can take this trend line tool, hop over on TradingView, and draw it from the low to the high right here, and then just see how this bounces off each point. Now, if this has a support failure of the trend line, and if it really does get below 250, 2,566, that's going to look pretty bad. I would consider this to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave, and that we need to do some type of a short-term ABC correction on the stock market. But this could easily bounce right here, you guys. This could easily bounce and make another high. It's all about waiting for that price action to develop right now, and just putting your stop loss at a point on this trend line where you feel comfortable that you won't get exposed to a drop if we do see one. And then for Bitcoin, the $6,000 level, this major support level that everybody is so in love with, could definitely capitulate. There's a possibility of a wicking event that jabs everybody's stop losses, kind of whips everybody that has their stop loss off at 6,000 right here, and then bounces back up, not quite that hard, to see some type of upside. So there's always that option right here. Again, one thing that's really pointing out more of a bull bias here for Bitcoin is going to be this volume spike that we've seen, which exceeded our downtrending volume that we'd had since the capitulation volume spike that we saw right here in February. So this volume spike right here we can define as capitulation. This is where the majority got out of the market because they were just too scared. They just were too emotionally attached. They're like, I just cannot lose anymore. So they sold at around 6,000. That's going to be capitulation for the majority of the market. And then since that point, we've just had downtrending volume and downtrending prices. Now, something about volume, if you Google volume and you look up any technical analysis book, one of the first things they'll teach you is if you have falling prices and falling volume, that's accumulation. That's a bullish signal. And then when there's a volume spike at the point at the end or the very pinnacle point of that falling pattern, if there's a volume spike, then that generally means that there's a breakout. This is a bullish volume spike to see this increase right here on Bitfinex. And by the way, it's on Binance too. So this is one thing that's really showing that maybe 6,000 is going to hold like I've been suggesting since we hit it in February. So we are beginning to see the volume profile. This is a breakout in increased volume across the map. Now, people have been asking me specifically, hey Dallin, how come volume is low compared to the top of the market? We don't have near as much volume as we did at the top of the market. How are we going to be able to get a bull run out of this if there's no volume in crypto? You guys, you have to understand that volume is relative to the place that you are in the market cycle. At the point where there's the maximum hype, of course there's going to be the most trading volume because that's where the whales are taking the most profits and that's where the most people are interested in it, looking at it every single day. The hype is there. Everybody thinks we're moon Lamboing. And so, yes, the volume levels are going to be significantly higher than they are when there's less people talking about it and when the price is dropped and there's more FUD and more fear around the cycle. But either way, you guys, if you look at the total market capitalization of the altcoin markets, I like to look at altcoins. This applies to the total market cap too, but I just don't want to zoom out here because we've got our TA that we've been using for all of our Craving Crypto episodes. But yeah, let me just pull this up right here. Remove all drawing tools. So if we just kind of analyze the volume profile right here, and then we just drop this onto the logarithmic chart, and we go probably over to the weekly is a really good time frame to look at this. What's up, everybody? Good to see you, Steven. Good morning from Shanghai. Good to see you tuning in. I love to see people from all over the world viewing, learning about BTCs. Isn't that volume spike a few days affected by Tether? So, you guys, there's always going to be a narrative around everything that happens in markets. One thing that I teach is take that narrative away. Just take it away completely. It will affect your analysis and it will change your perspective. It will change your bias and it can negatively affect you. So there's if you go look at the media right now, they're going to tell you a million reasons about interest rates and all these weird economic things that they're just spitting out. And it's designed to confuse you. If you try to understand what CNBC is talking about in the stock market and the NASDAQ and what it's going to do, they just start spewing out all these weird numbers about interest rates and how this is different and how, well, maybe we've got higher earnings now. And so the earnings, there's always a narrative. There's always some fundamental reason that they're going to say that the prices are going up or down. But at the end of the day, it's about human emotion. And the prices are going up because people are getting more excited, more invested, and they have more hope, they get more optimism, and they get more hype, so they put more money in, they tell their friends, and the emotion carries the market up. And it has relatively nothing to do with the narrative around it. And I firmly believe this. And as I've continued to learn trading and become better at it over the period of, a few years now, I've learned so much about the narrative and how it is definitely used to distract you from what's really happening. If you watch a support level, I mean, look at this, you guys. Who do you think would have been better trading Bitcoin? The people that listened to CNBC who told you that we were all going to the moon at 20,000, or the person that put a stop loss at 12,000 per coin, knowing that that was a major support level, and said, well, if this level gets taken out, I'm obviously going to see further downside. I want to reduce my risk from the market and then start to accumulate at lower prices. Obviously, the person that made the trading plan and is using technical analysis, rather than the person that's trying to base their analysis around some news article, some Tether FUD, I don't care what caused the volume spike. At the same time, the biggest whale on BitMEX that made 3,100 Bitcoin trading tweeted out and said the bottom is for Bitcoin. So, like, at that same time, all the Tether FUD was there. So what was it? Is it the biggest whale on BitMEX? Is it Tether FUD? Who cares? The volume spike is there, and it means something either way from a technical perspective, and it shows that 6,000 is holding stronger as support than people maybe think it is. And this is called a short squeeze, you guys. You know how many people were trying to short right here when we hit 6,200? And they saw this drop in price, and they're like, okay, this is it for the bulls. We're going down right now. This yearly support level's gonna fail. I'm gonna go all in. And then of course, all the 100Xers, all the people that got so excited with that short sell trigger button on BitMEX going 100X, they had to get liquidated. And that's what happened right here. And that caused a volume spike. And that is way more meaningful to the price than any narrative could be. So yes, Tether, I'm aware of the Tether thing. By the way, you guys, since the beginning of the correction, I've stated multiple times that I trust Tether. It works on the short term as a US dollar store of value. If you want to use something else, go use the DAI. Go use, what was the other one? There's like True USD or something like that. There's other stable tokens if you really are super scared of Tether alone. But honestly, like one of my mentors is one person away from the people at Tether and told me that they're liquid. They have no reason to be, you have no reason to be worrying about the legitimacy of what they're doing. Now, that's passed down to me, so I can only say it with letting you know that there was a passed down thing, but that's what it was told to me from somebody that I highly trust in the crypto space. So, okay. But yeah, now what's common on a breakout of a pattern like this. Now you can draw this as a descending triangle. Some people prefer to draw this as a falling wedge like this. It's, you guys, it's all a perspective thing. One person's going to say it's one thing, another person's going to say it's another thing. Mainly the horizontal price points are very important. Those are the most important. The diagonal lines are very, very useful, do not get me wrong, but this horizontal 6,000 support zone is very vital. And then the fact that we broke above the 73 level, even though it's a wick, shows some strength and some conviction for the bulls on the short term. So that's a higher high pattern right here. Now, if we can make another higher high, that's going to show a lot of convictions for the bulls. Now, let's talk about what would happen if we get a bearish scenario, if this is all one big manipulation wick, if for some reason this is not the beginning of a reversal, and which you guys, we could see right here. Let's just take these lines away. I would suspect around a 50% affection. Affection? I would suspect about 50% drop effect on the market between altcoins specifically. Bitcoin maybe would drop more like a 30% drop if we have a support failure at this $6,000 level. But you guys, it would be bloody quickly. So what do you do in this scenario as an analyst? Like I was talking about, avoiding the narrative, not worrying about what's happening with TetherFud, not worrying about, you know, not that it's, I'm not saying you guys can't read those things still. And if you really do want to, go right ahead, but just aim to not let it affect your analysis. Just understand that it is a narrative. It's just like kind of like a little story in the crypto journey for Bitcoin, and not to take it too seriously. But yeah, so what you do is capital preservation and risk management. Set your stop losses. If there's some altcoin that you're looking at and there's a huge volume spike, right? And then and on the daily candlesticks or on the 4-hour candlesticks, you see a spot where there was support and it bounced. Set your stop loss right there. If it fails, it's going to go lower. That's you reduce your risk from the market. Same thing with Bitcoin. That's how you avoid losing money if there's something like this. And then if it drops, you can make money because you buy the dip and it instantly bounces. So there's no reason to be scared, you guys. Scared money doesn't make money. I was talking about this in my little podcast episode yesterday. But just don't be fearful of these type of scenarios. Just plan around them. And so here's what I'm talking about with, if there's some altcoin that you're looking at and it's just like, it just retraced like crazy, but you've been buying it and you're like, yeah, I want to hold this coin right now. It's looking pretty good. You know, this is just some example. Here's a huge volume spike right here. It's starting to do a bit of a rounded bottom pattern. I see a lot of potential in this project if you're really into the project or whatever, and you're like, okay, I'm going to start accumulating. So you buy a little bit here, you buy a little bit here. And then over the period of a week, you average into this little short-term trend and you set your stop loss below the low. Or even you could be very smart and set it just a tiny bit below the low, as long as your stop loss isn't any more than about 10%. And then you're like, okay, nice. Now I'm in on a good little position here. If this drops and makes a new low and just dies, and for some reason SALT just retraces 100%, which by the way, this is either 99 or 98% down from its high, you guys. Oh my gosh. This is one of those ICO tokens that just got wrecked on the way down. I remember people asked me about this one when it first came out, and I was like, this one, there's just no chart data. I would not hold this coin right now. So this one did have some pretty intense dropping in the past, but that's opportunity, you guys. If you look back at the internet bubble, some of the stocks that retraced 98% or 99% were the ones that did 40,000% or 20,000% in the next run up. Whereas the ones that maybe retraced 80%, they just did like 5 or 10,000%. And with crypto, I look at crypto, it's the same as the internet bubble. If you apply the same psychology to it, you're going to be able to make a lot of money, because humans never change, and they got excited in the same way and they got fearful in the same way, and we're in the fearful phase right now. Then there's just potential when you look at these altcoins. So don't be scared, you guys. I guess that's what I'm preaching. Never let the media, never let people control your perspective. Like, build your own perspective on these things. Learn it for yourself. It will be very empowering. And like, look at these markets and decide for yourself what's really going to happen. I mean, like, look at this. If you go look at like penny stocks, and if you look at like charts before they do parabolic runs up in value, and then you compare them to like crypto charts, they have similar market cycles, right? This right here, you guys, this looks like a lot like that type of a pattern where you just have this huge blow off cycle. It drops 99% and then people get interested again. Institutional money's like, well, people believe this is completely worthless. They believe that at one point they believed it was worth this much, and now they believe that it's lost 99% of that value. And then they look at it and they're like, okay, well, this is actually something that's viable. So they dump a bunch of money into it, and then these volume spikes start to come in like this. And you can see the accumulation right here at this hype cycle is just kind of like, there's not really that much volume. Then right here, when it starts to meet the all-time low, volume starts to pick up. And then there's just this huge accumulation period where There's just $1 million days for months at a time right here. And then multi-million-dollar days as you get to the really, really low points right here. So, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. What could happen? What's up from Croatia, Houston, Texas? Shout out. High five from Paris. It would be bad if we break down. No, that's what I'm trying to teach. It's going to be bad for anybody that has a crypto business. Like, trust me, I know this firsthand. If 6,000 fails at support, like, yeah, that's going to be like bad for us crypto business people. That's going to suck. We're going to have to really go into survival mode there for a minute and hustle. But like, if 6,000 fails as an analyst, like, praise the Lord, like cheaper prices, honestly, like people, let me just, I was just playing around with random different trading plans and ideas right there. Like I said, if you have a tight stop loss right here, and you know that if this fails right here, you can buy cheaper, you put a good portion of your portfolio at this low with that stop loss. If that level fails and then it drops down to like 3,000 or 4,000 per coin or in this range, like, you guys, that's like life-changing opportunity on the long term for Bitcoin. And Bitcoin isn't going to die. It has real-world demand. Like, that's that as an analyst. And also, if that would happen, again, that would be a capitulation event. It's going to wick down. So it's going to move really quickly. So you'd get out of the market with your stop loss, and you're watching it drop, getting excited. Because you're like, oh shit, I'm going to be able to buy right here. I'm going to be able to buy right here. I'm going to be able to maybe buy right here. And as the price drops, you actually pick up cheaper coins. And in a very short period of time, it bounces back up quickly. Now, I don't see the market structure for that type of a move. I'm going to be honest. But everybody has their own perspective. So, so don't ever say that it's not going to happen, or it might not, you know. There's that option. So, okay, let's look and see what questions. $89 people. This is awesome, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Seriously. Then it turned into a resistance, failed. Oh, if we break down to 6K, then it turned into a resistance once or twice. Are you talking about how if we failed a little bit below 6,000 right here, and then we've rejected on the short term like this? You guys, support and resistance is a zone. So 6,000, you just want to take this little box tool and draw a little point, a zone where there's that support. You're not going to look at anything and say perfection. In fact, in my opinion, the reason that we made one more low right here was just to get everybody's stop loss out that set it at 6,000 when we dropped all the way down to 6, that everybody that bought the 618, and then it bounced right here and then bounced. It had to stop everybody out that had their stop loss right there. And that's why I personally also don't think that we will have a capitulation event like that where we go in for another low, because I see this as already being capitulation, and that is already being our stop trigger, right? Everybody that had their stop in place already got it taken out. And everybody that thinks that it's going to drop to 5 is saying that because they think that it's going to take everybody's stop out, which it still could do it twice, right? But in my opinion, we've had that capitulation event. We got the bounce. We took the stop losses out, and now we can curl. And you can see the rounding structure in the market. You can see the curling MACD in the market. You can see the fact that the MACD histogram is starting to do upticks into the positive areas, starting to get overbought on the histogram 26. That's bullish momentum. We can get strength in the MACD from that. So yeah, I mean, there's always the option of this. Yeah, you can count it like this. For the person that was asking about the C wave, some people count Bitcoin as an A, B, and a C correction like this, right? And they see this as an A, and then this is a 1 and a 2, and maybe somewhat of a 3, 4, like this will happen, right? Where we drop in. Now, in my opinion, if this was an ABC correction, we would have already made a new low right here and started to meet new resistance. Right, this is all still support level, and we're consolidating sideways. And generally speaking, in an ABC correction, you don't have weird triangle patterns like this. So there's that to consider. You don't get a triangle pattern inside of an ABC correction when you're just dropping. You get the subwaves of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. And this doesn't really have those subwaves. This has way more similar subwaves of a WXY correction. So I talked about this a little bit on my Twitter. I can pull this up in a minute. But we'll get into some altcoin requests, you guys, because we've been in about 30 minutes. We've been talking about how you can not get too screwed with the prices. And we've been learning all about how to play altcoins and how undervalued a lot of these are. So it's been good so far. I hope you're enjoying things. Do you have hard stops? I have hard stop losses, you guys. For Bitcoin, a real stop loss order, because I don't want to be sleeping and then have this drop off right here. This is a huge support level on a big time frame, and I don't want to be sleeping. Normally with short-term swing trades or trades that I'm doing like a little altcoin trade, I'll just use an alert and walk over to my computer when I get texted and take out or whatever. For this specific trade, I'm using a hard stop. It's too big of a level for me, and it's going to panic too quickly for me to just feel comfortable not being at my computer when it happens. So I'm going to have it automatically do it for me. Good question though, Scott. What's up from Sydney? Nice. Australia. Hell yeah. Okay, altcoin requests. So we'll go into Steam first. Seems to be asked pretty quickly here. Steam dollar. Now let's just go ahead and remove, get an Elliott wave perspective. Now you guys, oh, the journey of the market cycle. The journey of the market cycle. This one has retraced pretty significantly from its peak. Steam is an active platform with active users, which has a lot to be said in comparison to a lot of other names in the crypto space. We have a 92% correction from its peak down. This does generally seem to be the liquidity zone that we met before we went in for the previous run up in value. If we take this tool right here, rectangular tool, and go like this, this was our liquidity zone that we got accumulated on before the previous run up. We've since retraced back into this accumulation zone. Now we don't have a volume spike here on Poloniex, but let's check some other exchanges because Poloniex is kind of a dead exchange right now as far as volume goes. We do see some volume on the Bitcoin pair here on Binance. Let's see if we can do Steam, USD, Binance. Steam dollar. Unfortunately, we can't. For some reason, they don't have Steam, USD, Binance. There is the Bittrex exchange here. We do see some relative volume picking up on Bittrex. So some of the exchanges are showing some interest in this coin at this level. This is most definitely an ABC correction. This would be a pretty standard ABC correction right here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, ABC up, 5 waves back down. So this is definitely in a zone where we could see a bounce in prices. We do have a little bit of an inverse head and shoulder pattern right here forming with a left shoulder and a head and a right shoulder. And then with the MACD, we have bullish divergence forming. We have made lower lows all through this period right here. Well, the MACD was making higher lows. So that's another really good sign here for Steemit. And then just again, the fact that this is retraced so much is highly undervalued. It has a real platform, real users, and real application. So this is definitely one you guys could be watching. It's definitely on my personal watch list. So keep your eyes on Steemit. I'm going to pull down right here, quickly pull up the example. You guys, I made this chart way back in June, and this was my count for a WXY correction. I made this for the VIP members, and I was showing how this is a very complicated Elliott wave correction that we had on Bitcoin, something that a lot of people aren't going to spot or know how to count. And this was when we were, you guys, just below at that $5,900 level, 59 to 61. And I was showing that we could bounce up to 8,000. Again, this was made in June. And then come back down to support, consolidate in a triangle, and break out. Now, that's exactly what we've started to do with the Bitcoin markets. And this just goes to show how sometimes it pays off to learn this stuff, to find the more complicated corrections, to take things to the next level. This is some of the stuff that we go over in the mastermind stuff. But also, like I said, I shared this with all of the VIP members in the entries channel, in the entries channel, and stated that this is how I am counting Bitcoin as this WXY correction with a very, this basically has an ABC correction and then a flat correction, so an ABC up, and then a triangle correction, an ABCDE, and then it breaks out. So basically we usually see two types. Whenever you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up, you can expect a correction. You don't know which kind it's going to be, but at least you know the prices are going to drop, so it's time to be getting out of the market and be waiting to count that correction and see which one it decides to do. So either way, you're profitable, but that is just an example. Go check that out on my Twitter if you want to. It's in my photos and media if you want to get more detailed and look at kind of how I was counting that with Bitcoin. All right, ARB. Cryptocurrency. Okay, we do not have it on here. Let's go right here. Oh, what I was saying about the volume with altcoins, you guys. I completely got distracted. I get so into teaching these streams and then answering the other questions. Sometimes I'll be like really hyped about answering one of my questions, and in the middle of doing so, I'll just completely space all the other ones. So a rule of Elliott wave theory is that generally speaking, the third wave in a market cycle is the highest by volume. Now, if we count the total altcoin market capitalization on the big time frame right here, and we'll do that analysis on the coin in a second, so don't worry, don't be worried about that yet. In the big time frame here on the log chart, we have a wave count that we can kind of see here that happened with the total altcoin market cap. Now, if we take into the consideration that the third wave has the biggest volume by definition, because the fifth wave is where everybody's scaling out and it's really overvalued and then it needs to drop. And so the third wave is kind of what gives the market the momentum. The third wave is also the most pain in the market, has the most people deciding between both ways, because in the one wave down here, right here, 1, 2, in the one wave, basically nobody knows about it. And so the price jumps up, it comes back down, it gets accumulated, and then it just starts to move, right? And then in the three wave, everybody starts to hear about it. So everybody gets really opinionated. There's people that are like, oh, crypto's so cool. And there's people like, oh, crypto is the worst. It's not even real. There's no tangibility to it. It can't have real value. It's going to dump. It's going to go to zero. So there's this argument. There's so much discussion around it that there's pain in the market, meaning that there's a lot of people losing a lot of money and there's a lot of people making a lot of money. And it has the highest opportunity because when you buy in the 2 wave and then scale out on the 3 and then you buy the 4, that 5th wave is just like, it's just crazy. So yeah, anyways, so this is a 3 and a 4 wave. Now we're expecting a 5th wave in the total market cap, and this goes along, the total altcoin market cap, this goes along. Look how much volume we got in the 3 wave, you guys. Maximum pain in the market, maximum opinions. There's opinions of both sides at that point. Just pull this down and go like this. So everybody's arguing back and forth, oh, this coin's gonna do this, oh, you know, Bitcoin isn't going to go up. Oh, Ethereum's the only real coin. Oh, they're all going to dump. Oh, there's just like, and that's what creates this volume, is speculation. Everybody has their own opinion, and so everybody hurdles in to start speculating over it, And they're like, oh yeah, no, I'm 100x short on Bitcoin, man. You better get all your money out. I remember, I remember this guy that I met. I was at like a carnival or just like a place where you could go ride rides, like roller coasters and stuff in California. I can't remember exactly the name. It was like a Six Flags. I don't think it was Six Flags, but something like that, right? And there's this guy that had like this shop, and he would sell like little old locks and like keys and like antiquities and like knives and animal horns and like horseshoes and just like stuff like that, right? And so I walk in because my sister really likes this type of stuff, and I'm gonna buy her something, thinking in my head I'll get my sister a gift, I'll send it back to her, let her know I've been thinking about her. So I walk in there and I start looking around. I get it. I see this. It's pretty expensive, like old school skeleton key lock, that huge key to it, and just sounded really fun to open and close. My sister was like really into that. She used to love like secret notes and all that type of stuff. So I was like, okay, this is something my sister is just gonna really love. So I bought it for her, but it was kind of expensive. So we got talking back and forth, and somehow we got on this discussion of Bitcoin. This guy was just so opinionated on it. He's like, it's gonna dump, you gotta take all your money out. He's like, it's going to $0, it's never gonna go up again. He's like, you're an idiot for even putting it in the first place. And I was like, yeah, but like I made this much money doing it. He's like, I don't care, you're still you just like couldn't see it. It was just like that ignorance, right? And that's what I'm talking about, that pain in the market, that point where everybody is so opinionated. One guy's saying it's going to 0, one guy's saying it's going to 1,000,000. And so it dumps right here, and then the fifth wave comes, and that's when all the craziness happens. That's when all the world records are made. I mean, there's world records in the 3-wave, but like that's the craziness is the fifth wave in the market. So that's what we're expecting for the altcoin market. That's what the volume profile is showing. That's what the weekly MACD would indicate as well. You can see the subwaves. This was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D, E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, and then we need to do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up for the fifth wave in the log chart in the big picture for the altcoin markets. All right, ARB, let's go back to what we were doing there. Told you I wouldn't forget. Arbitrage. What does this coin do? Is this an arbitrage token? Does it automatically find cheap Bitcoins on one exchange and then sell them on expensive exchanges? That'd be so cool to have some type of a crypto that just connected to all the exchanges like that. Okay, so this is a pretty good accumulation pattern. Right off the bat, we're seeing a rounded bottom right here. Okay, so let me just pull this down. I like to call these spoon bottoms. It just kind of looks like they usually come after a big downtrend. This one doesn't have as much price history, but they usually come after a big downtrend, and then they make like this rounded shape, and it kind of makes like a spoon, like it goes like this. I've called it the spoon formation in the past, where you just drop in prices and then you get that rounded formation at the bottom of the kind of spoon shape right there, and then it just takes off. It usually makes an ascending triangle pattern and breaks out. And look at here, we do see the potential for an ascending triangle pattern right here on AB or ARB. Now, this support level is a bit of a zone. We're seeing a volume spike right here, and it is selling off. So if this starts to drop pretty quickly right here, we may test support again before we go up for any type of upward movement here with this one. Either way, this is a potential ascending triangle pattern. So if it bounces kind of at current price, this is a pretty good make or break it point for it, and curls back up and breaks out, we're going to see upside. This one did have a pretty brutal rejection off this level, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if this one curls back down like this and then does see some type of a continuation still to meet the greater rounded kind of pattern that's forming right here, kind of meet in with the geometry behind that. Because like I said, these rounded patterns right here, they generally generate an uptrend, these spoon formations. And and afterwards, there's either an ascending triangle or a breakout and then an ABC. and then an upward move. So this is either going to be a breakout in an ABC or a breakout in an ascending triangle. But yeah, it has a perfect accumulation pattern and kind of the volume profile you'd look for to see some type of a move. So keep that one on you guys' watch list as well. Sis. All right, yeah, we can do Sis coin. Hope you guys are all enjoying your Friday night. I know that for me personally, I am going to get in the hot tub tonight and relax a little bit. Probably there's a really nice part about where I live right now. At the hot tub, I'll take my laptop and I set it down next to the hot tub, and I can be looking at charts and stuff while I'm in the hot tub. Honestly, I really shouldn't do it. I should probably let my mind like have a break sometimes, but I still catch myself sitting there scrolling around on TradingView when I'm supposed to be relaxing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I guess that's just the life of a trader. So this right here is a standard market cycle, you guys. Hype, fear, very, very standard. There's not really too much to say about that. This is somewhat of a falling wedge pattern here. It's actually a perfect falling wedge. I don't know why I said somewhat of one. And we have this volume spike. That was because of a hack that happened on Binance. So that volume spike, you can't really trust it that much. For Sis coin, I would be looking for another volume spike over here that isn't relative to the fact that there was a Binance exchange hack right here. I mean, obviously that volume still has some meaning towards the price, but it's less meaningful because of that. For this one, I'd wait for a greater confirmation with another volume spike right here. And when that volume spike comes in, and if there becomes a breakout of this horizontal trading pattern that we're seeing on the smaller time frames, going over to the daily, you can kind of look at a lot of these altcoins, and when they start to bottom out, they usually go horizontal for a while because they're consolidating, getting accumulated, and there's a big battle between the bulls and the bears at a bottom because the bears think it's going to go lower, so they keep selling, and the bulls think it's going to go higher, so they think it's going to bounce, so they keep buying. So it generally just kind of goes sideways. And what happens if you get that structure, come on, Sis coin load, so I can show you guys on the smaller time frame here what I'm talking about. This right here is what I am talking, wow. This right here is what I'm talking about, you guys. We've got a horizontal support level and kind of a horizontal resistance level right here. And it's just bouncing in between this trading range. Now, when we get a breakout of this range and a volume spike, that's going to look good on the short term for the bulls. For Sis coin, but for this one I really wouldn't touch it until you do see that pattern. Now this could also do the opposite thing and have this type of a breakout from that consolidation pattern, but that's kind of how you watch them. You can apply that to most of the altcoin markets that are kind of consolidating, going horizontal right now, is how they define themselves at this point. That really defines a trend afterwards. If they see some type of a higher high and build a trend, or if they just completely flush out, break down, and don't have any demand and just see further downside continuation. So, but yeah, that volume is what's really important. If there's no volume and it's just kind of dead right there, I wouldn't be picking it up. It's just too big of a risk. Hey, thank you, Luke. Good to see you tuning in. It's Saturday morning in Australia. Wow, you're from the future, man. What the hell? That is crazy. What is Bitcoin at today? Tell me, I'll 100x on BitMEX. Power TA, I'll get right in that for you. Oh my God. I love seeing people come in from all over the world. That's one of my favorite parts of having a channel, is just like connecting with everybody, because there's so many people that are into this from so many places, and we all just have interesting perspectives, things that we want to look at, just it's so nice and refreshing, especially the crypto space is one of the coolest spaces on earth. So Power, are you talking about Power Ledger? Because there's Power Coin and there's Power Ledger. What's up, Jacob? Good question. I definitely need to go drift with you in Japan. I still see I still seen you on Instagram the other day. I don't remember when it was, but I definitely need to go drift around in those drift cars with you, Jake, man. That'd be sick. Okay, Power Ledger. We'll get right into that. So yeah, this one is showing a similar kind of hype and then accumulation cycle. Obviously, this is going to be an Elliott wave correction. This one looks to be like an ABC as well. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty standard A and a B C wave correction. This one had a pretty big A wave. Maybe we count it like that. That looks more right. Yeah. So there's going to be 5 waves down right here and then 5 waves down right here. You can see that that's definitely correct because this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now on a bearish, when you're counting subwaves down, they can bleed into each other right here because it's a correction. So the waves can eat into each other. So don't mind the fact that these are bleeding into each other. Only on bull trends do Elliott waves have the rule that the 4 can't retrace into the 1. In a corrective pattern, the subwaves can technically have retracements into themselves. So everything's looking very valid here. This is a left shoulder, this is a head, and this is a right shoulder. You guys, a total altcoin market cap is making an inverse head and shoulders pattern. Same with the total market cap as a whole. We're starting to get a very small bounce off this support level that I was pointing out and saying, hey guys, we might drop back down to this right here and then go for that target that I keep talking about at 240 billion in the total market cap. So kind of what we're looking at with Power Ledger and all of these altcoins as a whole is for this right shoulder to really be taking place in the total market cap and in the altcoin market cap. If you guys want to pull up the total market caps and trade them, I have said this 10,000 times, but coinsignals.trade is the website. Coinsignals.trade. People ask me this every single day. It's like my top question in all of my comments, but this is where you guys do it. And that's where you guys can chart these, the coin market cap charts and look at the total market cap for the altcoins and for the total market cap. So you can really get a good perspective on what's going to happen on your individual positions. I've known for myself, if I see strength in the total market cap and a strong pattern to play, it helps me have confidence in taking my positions on my single coins that I'm watching on my watch list because I know that there's strength in the market as a whole and there's less risk to be taking positions because of that. With Power Ledger, if we get a higher, this is again that kind of horizontal range that we're in since it started to bottom out right here. So if we get above this resistance level of this range at around 20 cents, that's going to look really good. We'll start breaking out and reaching these other resistance levels pretty quickly where profit takers will be interested. This is how swing traders trade, you guys. This is what you do. When you retrace like this, you get an ABC correction. You go from the low to the high with your fib tool, or you just hand pick out your resistance levels with a horizontal trend line like I was just doing, just barely. And you buy at the lowest retracements and you sell at the higher retracements. And then you keep 25% in case this does a full super cycle and goes up for new all-time highs. Now this is either going to reach a couple of these, maybe one of them and then just dump, or all of them like this and then dump and then go. That's the most common, is you usually get not exactly like that sharp or that steep, you guys. I'm not trying to have you FOMO in, but I'm just saying all of those levels get reached at some point along its trend, right? And you take profit at those levels. That's how swing traders do it. They play the big cycles. They accumulate like this. They buy when the demand zone is at the 88% retracement on altcoins or you know, whatever market you're trading. And then with Bitcoin, it's a little bit more liquid, so you aim for the 618 and the 786 if we really do go for a capitulation event and we do have what the title of this stream is about have happen, and maybe which is not my bias. Like I'm saying, I see more strength on the support than weakness currently. But if that happens, you guys, then you just get out and then you buy the dip and you don't care. You play the next swing because there'll be another swing. But these cycles are really simple to trade. You don't have to overcomplicate things. Let's do MDA. Modia loyalty points token. Modia, oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah, you guys. This is so hot. This is sexier than my ex-girlfriend, and she is really hot. So, you guys, you have to understand, when you get a trading pattern like this, you have to put it on your watch list. This right here has giant volume spikes. We're talking about $62 million volume spikes on how do I pronounce this? Mode loyalty points? Something loyalty points. This is a good setup. I like the way this is looking. We're starting to consolidate down. If this does a bull flag structure right here, I will be buying the dip on that bull flag for sure, because I would suspect that to do another parabolic curve on the upside. This looks like it's just started, like its juices just started flowing. You can see, because here's, you guys, this is accumulation. You have to understand with cycles, you need to understand what's happened before the cycle is generated to see what might happen in the actual cycle itself. This right here is all accumulation. And look what's happened in this period of accumulation. We went sideways and people just picked it up and got volume and traded it. We went sideways for roughly a year straight. Literally a year. This coin was, yeah, wow. This one was made early on in 2017. So yeah, this was just heavily accumulated for a straight year. Volume spikes right here, and just slow trending downwards overall in volume. And we just got a break out of that accumulation pattern. Now the 300-day accumulation pattern is going to result in a cycle. Now you have to ask yourself, if it accumulated for 300 days, don't you think that the cycle could at least have 100 days to it? Now look at where this cycle started. We've had roughly 20 days of the cycle that began, like we've had 20 days since it started of movement and price action for this one. So this, if it does half of its accumulation period, if it does half, then we could see somewhat of a cycle for the next 100 days, or maybe even more, 150 days here. Like I said, it was a year, so that's about 300 days divided by 2, give or take. But that is looking really good, you guys. I'm glad you pointed this out to me. I am very glad you pointed this one out to me. Give me 2 seconds, actually. I need to... Yeah, this one is sexy as hell, you guys. Oh my god. And I'm not apologizing for getting off on that chart. I'm really not. When am I coming to London? Dude, I really want to so bad. You should DM me on Discord. We'll talk about it, for real. Maybe we'll hop on a voice chat or something like that. But seriously, DM me. I would love to go to London. Yeah, no problem, Luke. Good stop loss in altcoins. So if you go back a little bit closer to the start of this video, we talked about how you could kind of define your stop loss for altcoins. You just want to find, if you're trading an altcoin, make sure that you're trading one with a good volume spike, and then find the horizontal range that it's trading in right here. This is a horizontal range from this low to this resistance point. and then set your stop loss below that or just below it, right? And try to go for, if you can, from where your average entry is, try to do about a 10% stop loss. If you have to do 15, do, but really you don't want to do any more than a 20% loss because the gains that you have to get back on that are just too much. The way that I looked at MDA. Why are you insecure about your hot? Are they fundamental competitors or something? I'll check out HOT for you, by the way. But yeah, no. So yeah, that's what you want to do with your altcoins is set your stop loss below these horizontal consolidation ranges, or at least below their short-term trend lines. Like right here, this one has a little trend line forming right here. So you could set your stop below that too if you want a little bit of a tighter one, with less risk but more chance of getting stopped out and having to buy back in at that price. So hot. Okay, so you're talking about hot and not holo, I think. This one has a similar kind of pattern. This one doesn't. Well, this one's just. This one has a huge wick. So let me pull down and get like the full kind of picture of what's going on here with this damn chart. All right, cool. So yeah, this one just kind of dumped from when it got added. This does look like accumulation. This kind of lower trending action right here. But this is also a pattern that could result in a support failure. So if this level starts to get taken out right here, I'd be pretty bearish of these. If this support level right here starts to get taken out, that's a pretty bearish look for HOT in general. But yeah, if it breaks above this kind of resistance level, this one just has so little data and there's just so many wicks because it's so new. It is harder to predict it. If you're going to play this, just take very small amounts of your portfolio and accumulate it. Like this just has so little trend to develop your analysis around. You're probably just going to annoy yourself trying to predict it. But either way, this is curling. This does look like accumulation. If it really breaks above this downtrending resistance like it looks like it's going to, we'll probably break up for this one too. Most of these coins look really good, you guys, as we're making this right shoulder. So if the prophecy of the inverse head shoulders across the total market cap comes true, then all these coins are going to be picking up like fire, I promise you. Hey, thanks for tuning in, Scott. Good to see you enjoyed the webinar and everything. My winners to losers is approaching 5-to-1 since joining HAI. Nice, man. Good for you. Hell yeah. I love to hear that. Seriously, it's amazing to hear you guys learning from all this stuff and enjoying and getting some value from it. So yeah, that's basically everything that I wanted to go over in today's stream. I seriously appreciate every single one of you guys so much for taking your time out of your evening on this beautiful Friday night to tune in today or Saturday morning in Australia. And I really am looking forward to seeing what happens with these markets, with this right shoulder. If the prophecy comes true, you guys, and we get the inverse head shoulders breakout and we all get really wealthy because of it, hell yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. If we have a support failure and we all buy the dip and then we all get wealthy from it, hell yeah, I'm excited. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. One quick thing, we always do a promotion on these streams. Now, these streams, we only do them every so often. Like the last one was about 10 episodes back. So you're going to want to take advantage of this while you can. But if you have been interested in getting in with the VIP course and learning this stuff, then you guys can go ahead and click on this link. So a lot of people ask me, Dallin, why would I need to do the VIP? What's in it for me? Why should I be learning this stuff? And the real thing is that if you don't understand how to do, risk management or Elliott waves or take trade setups or really just like what you should be focusing on as a trader, what areas that you're going wrong. If you really want to take those areas and just jump like 10 steps ahead and just have a leap in your learning, then that's what this is about. This is what I do for you guys. This is what I teach. It comes with 40 videos Often if I'm like looking at a couple setups, like just the other day I posted a VIP video for only the VIPs of a couple setups that we were looking at and kind of what I was looking at, why we're going to take the trades on them, how far they had retraced, why when they retrace that far you buy them, and all that good stuff. So if you're interested in that, we do the promotions at the end of these streams. You'll want to take advantage of it while you can. This is going to last 3 days over the weekend, so you guys can get 20% off on the 1 year and the lifetime. And then if you're really interested, we've got the mastermind webinars if you want to get hands-on and do the live webinars with me every single Saturday and copy my portfolio percentages and watch as I grow it and just take it from the beginner level all the way to the mastermind level. So yeah, check out those promotions. Again, thank you guys all so much for tuning in today's stream. I hope that you are all staying profitable, and I will see you guys in the next episodes. As always, stay profitable out there, you guys.